We've decoded the intel from the First Order spy, and it confirms the worst. Somehow Palpatine returned.
Okay, let's...
Welcome to our podcast.
Well, let's maybe start it now. Hello.
Hi.
Okay, welcome back.
Welcome. We have a name now for our podcast.
What was the name?
Mediocre Movie Majors.
That's right, that's what we are.
That's what we decided. Do you like
That's
that?
what we decided,
That's
because
the name we
alliteration's
decided
fun.
on?
So, haven't recorded one of these in a minute, because... When was the last time we recorded one of these?
A while ago.
We definitely dated it at one point, so...
I know, I'm kind of
It'll be kind of fun to see how late we are with this whole project,
Yeah.
but I think today
It's been one of those, you know.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about movies in a while, so I thought we could do like a catch up of movies.
Yeah, this should probably be a quick sort of recap of
Yeah.
just some of our favorite things we've watched and some of the things that really were noteworthy worth talking.
Yeah.
Keep your text messages closed for the duration of the podcast.
I was opening.
Oh, you were opening your Letterboxd
Letterboxd
app? Well,
yeah.
my point still stands.
Okay.
I really wanted to mention some movies that stood out to me was American Gigolo.
Ooh, with Richard Gere.
Yeah, I never saw it, and I've never known anyone who's seen it. I know a lot of people who say, "Oh, I've heard of that." And
This is a movie that
it.
everybody's mom watched. It feels to me.
I guess your.
I don't know if my mom has watched it, but
Oh.
it just feels like this is the kind of movie you say to someone. They say, "Oh, my mom's seen that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom's never seen it, so that's why I don't have that necessarily that exact same
Okay,
sentiment.
so maybe
it
not
just was a great
everybody's
early
mom.
'80s film.
If you like Richard Gere,
Or if you
will
like
love this
if you
movie.
like that one scene in Miami Vice where they're driving to Phil Collins, you'll also like this film.
Yeah, a lot of driving, a lot of him
Being
being
a dude,
hot,
being a hot prostitute,
being
basically.
a male. Yeah, and we watched My Neighbor Totoro.
What a transition! Just mid sentence. Ooh, yeah. I was pulling up in the next one I wanted to mention. My Neighbor Totoro was a Studio Ghibli film that Katherine and I
looking at
loved
him right
it.
now.
Yeah, she kept
This was
singing the
only
song.
my
Can you sing the song?
Totoro, 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 Totoro.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'm tearing up looking at him. I
Yeah.
love him so much. This is my second Studio Ghibli film. I think you've seen a couple more than I have, but
I have seen a few more.
we haven't really done the deep dive yet. Like
We haven't
into
gone
all
too
of the
much into
Studio
anime.
Ghibli films, but I really like this one, and it made me want to watch more. Oh wait, I'd like to touch on one movie that we watched that I didn't like.
Ted?
Scream 5, otherwise known as Scream. Just Scream.
Yeah, the 2022.
Didn't like it. I thought the Scream movies, at least the first two, to me, are smart in what they're doing. They're referential to other horror movies, but like in a smart and funny way. This felt like it was doing almost too much in a way that I didn't like.
Yeah, I kind of saw it was like, it was doing that like, hey, remember when, like the Rick and Morty, like, remember in that video game when you could like break the blocks and get food from the wall? That's so gross. And it's like, that's like, the original Scream was so much smarter than just saying a reference.
Yeah, Scream 5, or just Scream is what it's called, is basically just a worse remake of the original Scream.
Yeah. And it doesn't really advance the plot forward in any meaningful way. It just kind of
gotta watch Scream 6 to find out what happens, which I did not.
It felt very like campy, unless it was supposed to be.
And I think,
which I don't think.
But
it
I
was.
think the Scream movies do camp well. So
yeah,
it's
but
like,
it wasn't like
that one. It missed the mark for me. Let's just say.
I accidentally.
It was okay.
Pulled away my diary.
No. Oh no.
Ted.
Guillermo. Oh.
I wanted to mention Ted.
You gave it 4.5 stars?
Yeah, it's a good
I think
palate
I gave it
cleanser.
like 2. What did
2.5. You said Family Guy wrote this.
I.
Let's see what our friend Mikey had to say about it.
Shout out Mikey.
He said it wasn't as good as you expected, but he still gave it 5 bags.
Yeah.
So what does that say?
and
I don't know.
He gave it 5 bags and the heart on Letterboxd. Exposing Mikey right
Exposing Mikey for enjoying Ted for being like a stupid like bros
I
drinking
think it
beer
could
movie.
be. This is the movie that to me, like, I could not me personally, but I could see you watching this at a sleepover and like having fun.
Yeah.
But as a woman, I just don't. I couldn't
I feel like we
allow
talked about
myself.
Did we not talk about Lord of the Rings?
No, there's no way.
Okay, sorry for interrupting.
No, I was gonna say I couldn't allow myself to enjoy Ted that much. Don't even get me
Speaking
started
of
on
movies
that.
we hated,
Wait,
there
we have
was
to do
one
the
that we
story time.
Yeah, I was gonna give the background.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of movies we hated, there was one that we saw in a coffee shop when we were getting a bagel. There was a movie playing on the projector or on a TV, and we saw it was Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman, and we're like, oh, we love those people. Why have we never seen a movie with them together?
Yeah.
And so we Googled it. It's called The Change Up. And it looked like a Freaky Friday, you know. Jason Bateman looks like a family man, and Ryan Reynolds is like a single bachelor. We turned on the film, and the first scene is like Jason Bateman changing diapers, and they CGI'd the baby genitalia so they could do a bunch of fart and poop jokes. Like Jason Bateman's getting poop in his mouth. Like
it's
first 5 minutes.
Genuinely disgusting.
We turned that off. We didn't even get.
We couldn't continue watching. I felt so uncomfortable. Who thought that was a good idea? Who
that was such a bad
was involved
one.
in that, and who do we have to like fight? Because that was just awful.
That was rough.
We watched maybe 10 minutes of it.
Yeah, we just turned it off. And I still think that means we can review it, because if you can turn off your audience, then, you know, that sucks. But that's what they're going to feel about it.
It's insane to me that was playing in a coffee shop.
Yeah,
Somebody saw
crazy.
Somebody
that
got their morning probably really ruined that morning.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's a censored version they played.
Coffee shop.
Because they fully show like the Nirvana like baby penis like.
Oh yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. But a good movie that we watched.
Back to the goods. We finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, you never saw it before.
This was my first time watching Lord of the Rings. All the way through. We had watched the first two a little bit ago, so
it was some time.
We gave it some time, and then we returned for the Return of the King.
Yeah, and for coming out in 2003, this shit holds up.
This is a good movie.
The CGI is great, the acting's great, performances are great. It's just a good quality film.
Legolas,
Mr.
great.
Frodo.
We love honestly, Lord of the Rings is to me just like a bunch of little guys running around, and I appreciate it for that.
Yeah.
For what it is. What do you want to talk? Oh, we watched The Hateful Eight.
We did watch Quentin Tarantino's Hateful Eight. Kind of like Django Unchained if it was Reservoir Dogs.
Whoa. Quentin Tarantino references.
Listen, that makes sense though, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying when I say that.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's a non-linear, multi-perspective story. Bit long for what it is. 188 minutes.
It was really long.
Really, really long. But it's a good film.
There's a good payoff.
I just don't think it necessarily needed to be that long.
We got 2 stinkers in a row.
Yeah, I was going to talk about
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods really quick.
See, that was a stinker to me, but not to you.
I think it's a very conflicting film. And, like, a lot of people are, like, kind of mixed on it. And I'm also mixed, but rewatching it, I think, makes it a more enjoyable film. Although, that doesn't mean it could be a good film. That just means it's one that can be good on rewatch. It has a very complicated plot that's kind of confusing the first time you watch it.
Like, give it away, but...
Yeah, without spoiling anything, it just sort of leaves the viewer in the dark until it wants to reveal itself. And...
I just feel like the first half, this is so hard to say without spoiling it, but like I get what they're trying to do with the first half, but it misses the mark for me, and the twist and the second half don't necessarily make up for it.
Yeah, no, I totally understand
and
that.
The ending, the more I thought about it, the more I did like the ending, but then also I was like, it's not really satisfying in the way that I wanted it to be.
It's definitely not a satisfying ending.
Like, I can appreciate an unsatisfying ending, so there's that.
I
just didn't like it as much as you did.
Yeah,
but it's also, this was my first time watching, and you were rewatching.
Yeah, so, seeing it without the angle of like this is a twist, surprise reveal. Because again, the film does open with a little flash forward, kind of showing the audience something completely unrelated to the main plot.
I totally forgot.
And then you're kind of just like, what the hell was that? And it just sort of goes in. So rewatching it, it's kind of a much more enjoyable experience because you know what to expect and what's about to happen to everyone.
I do bet this is one that's probably better on rewatch.
I think it could have benefited from just explaining the plot before and not doing the whole twist reveal.
Well,
I think
I
honestly
actually feel like they should have leaned
benefit.
further into it being a twist.
Yeah, but it's so hard. It's more of a fun movie going in knowing that like, oh, I don't give a fuck about the main characters versus having like some maybe trying to like build them up like characters you want to like and rooting for them. Like it's that's why like I had watched a totally different movie. You know, I wasn't watching to like root for those characters.
That's actually a really interesting point.
That's
now
why
that
I
I'm
enjoyed
thinking
it.
about it, I'm like,
Like if you watch it as the angle of like from their perspective, it's way more of an interesting film.
From whose perspective?
The protagonist. Which again, if you've seen this movie, this will make sense. If you haven't, go watch it. It's a fun horror movie.
I actually do think this is one that like I feel like is kind of underrated in the way that like I don't know a lot of people who have seen it, but like
I know a lot of people that shit on it or say it's very mid. I don't think it's that
if you're
mid.
into like 2011, I was gonna say 2010's horror.
It's definitely 2010's horror.
Check it out.
It's honestly
who's
not
that
that
main
bad.
guy?
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris
Thor.
Hemsworth is in it, and Jesse Williams for all you Jesse Williams stands out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a fun movie.
You liked it a little bit more than I did.
I did. Again, also, it has a lot of Valve references, so if you know my background in Team Fortress 2, I appreciated the Left 4 Dead references.
There's just like a lot of good... It's a good referential movie.
Very good, fun referential movie.
Yeah.
Again, not necessarily a flawless film. Solid, like, 3 bags, I think, is pretty much the agreed upon rating. So now let's talk about some stinkers, because that was something that's controversial.
Yeah.
My hot take is I liked it.
This one was really disappointing.
Noah Baumbach.
We watched White Noise, which I have been wanting...
He co-wrote the Barbie movie coming out.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. I have
co-wrote
immense
the Barbie
trust
movie.
in Greta Gerwig, and I do like Noah Baumbach because he wrote Frances Ha, and I love Frances Ha and Marriage Story too. I'm more about Marriage Story. Like, I've never seen Squid and the Whale.
Sorry, we were just clicking through discography. That doesn't.
So I was like, you know what? Noah Baumbach has got some hits. Let's check this out. First of all, when this movie came out, not a single person was talking about it.
Never heard a single person. Can we say the title of it now?
Now I understand why. White Noise. Oh, did I not say?
No,
we
were talking
White
about
Noise.
Noah Baumbach and stinkers. This film, White Noise, released in 2022, starring Adam Driver.
Yeah, Adam Driver. It's literally starring Adam Driver and Greta
it came out
Gerwig.
after Marriage Story, and it has Greta Gerwig in it, and it's like, oh, okay, how can you go wrong? Well, turns out, let me unload. I got some hot takes here.
He's got a hot take.
I'm
on
coming in
this
hot,
one.
so brace yourself, okay?
Mind you, first of all, 136 minutes. No movie should be that long.
What are you talking about? That's like 2 hours.
Anyways.
2 hours and 10 minutes.
Okay. I'll talk about. Maybe I should wait.
It's
leave
more
this
of a pace issue.
It is a pace issue. This movie felt like it was 3
me-
hours long, but I'm also.
Let me get into it, okay?
this
These
movie's over
people
2
need
hours
to
right
know where this heat is coming from. This is an early 80s period piece. I think maybe mid 80s.
It like honestly,
But
besides
the thing
the
is,
fact that they're
it
wearing
doesn't do it
fugly
good.
clothes, is it a period piece?
It's supposed to be. They don't have cell phones. They're literally like.
I guess that's no. You're so right.
It's literally supposed to be in the 80s, but nothing about it really looks or feels 80s. Like obviously it was shot on digital.
Oh, we should.
And it was.
Sorry.
I just really want to get into
No,
this.
I was just gonna say it is based on a book, which neither of us read. So
Neither of us have read the book, but we did Google the synopsis after, and
also,
the book seems actually really interesting.
Movies based on books should still be able to hold up on their own.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Continue.
Books can be good on their own, and movies can be good on their own, and like we just were talking about with Lord of the Rings, both can be equally good in their own right. This movie, I don't think it is a successful period piece. It just the aesthetic of it tries really hard to mimic the 80s, but doesn't quite capture the essence of it. If you want something that captures that early 80s essence, watch a film like Everybody Wants Some. Great Richard Linklater film we'll talk about a little later.
80s?
Yeah, that was 1980. Come on, I rewatched this recently. Anyway,
He liked it so much he watched it twice.
I did. That was a great period piece. Anyway,
But that's not what we're talking
That's
about
not what we're
right
talking
now.
about. We're talking about the film White Noise, directed by Noah Baumbach, 2022. Fails as a period piece, but let's talk about the plot of it and the actual film.
Yeah.
So the cinematography and acting is fine, but the plot without getting super into spoilers, I mean, we will have to dabble in some spoilers just to explain the problems we have. So if you want to watch this spoiler free, go do that right now. Sorry. Or just skip the next 3 minutes of this podcast and you'll be fine.
Skip ahead a little bit.
This film has this really interesting post-apocalyptic plot that's actually surprisingly relevant in 2023 about a train derailing and spilling toxic waste on the edge of a small town, and there's a whole evacuation plot.
Somewhat like of a COVID metaphor, but not really, but kind of.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit of a misinformation thing.
Yeah.
And there's very interesting post-apocalyptic family in the car, and the family's like, "See, Dad, we told you," and the dad's just trying to get everyone fucking or where they need to be, take care of his family. But then the film kind of just sort of forgets about it. It just does a flash forward to 2 months.
Anyways, after that happened,
And it does 2 months later. It does a flash forward, and they refer to the event, but they never deal with the consequence of it or the aftermath per se.
The consequence of it is spoiler.
Well, the purpose of it, with getting into spoilers, was to give Adam Driver's character this feeling of death, inevitable
he
death.
Was somewhat exposed to it.
Yeah, he was exposed to
Maybe
some of the
it's still
toxic.
Unclear.
Yeah, it's not necessarily confirmed or denied, and they can't give him an exact death date, so it's just this fear of
which is so interesting if they did anything with it.
They don't.
And then
instead they decide to focus on a drug plot line, and they don't really show you the plot. They instead tell you about it after the fact, not even with a flashback, just with someone talking about it. And then it's pretty ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Because it just sort of ends with this uplifting comedic bit. And also, I don't know if this was more talked about in the book or something, but Adam Driver's character is a professor at college who teaches a class on Hitler. And the film is riddled with a bunch of Nazism references and allusions to fascism, but never says anything about it directly. It just is in the background.
It's just a background kind of.
It's just his character's into fascism.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of forgot about that part. That's so weird.
It really gave the feeling of I'm 14 and I think this is deep. We're all gonna die someday.
Who's the guy in it?
Adam Driver?
No.
Don
Cheadle. I was right. He
had his own plot, but didn't really feel like he needed to be in the movie. Has a plot line as well,
but I can't remember a single.
Yeah, I don't remember a single thing he did other than this one scene where he interacts with Adam Driver in a classroom.
I remember the opening of the film.
Yeah, where they're talking and they're buddies.
Be kind of a
character, but he's not. It's weird. It's such a film that the worst part about this film is it feels like it sets up something with this post-apocalyptic family travel survival thing, and then doesn't do anything. It just it gets your expectations up. There's gonna be a plot without having a plot.
Yeah.
Going on without taking up too much of your time on this movie.
We watched Star Wars.
We watched Rise of Skywalker.
And here's my hot take. I'm a fan of the Disney trilogy. And I know that you are not at all. And I have a hard time defending the Rise of Skywalker specifically because literally what are you talking about? Somehow Palpatine returned. Literally, excuse me, what? Basically what? However, I don't hate it. Really? The way that you do.
See, I might be a little bit of a hater, so taking some of that bias aside, because, I'm not necessarily a Star Wars nerd. I don't really love Star Wars, but I do like, logic, so maybe inherently I can't like Star Wars, but...
I think we like Star Wars, we're different kinds of people liking Star Wars, because I'm just ooh, it's fun when he does the lightsaber thing, and then
I prefer when the Force is more of an allusion to a religion that can maybe give you some vague superpowers. When it's so shamelessly just a boring basic plot device that can solve everything, like a Deus Ex Machina that you don't need to think about, I have a little bit of problems with that. Honestly, my bigger problems come from like the timeline of everything, from C-3PO's whole like reading Sith plot to the whole map being built around a destroyed ship. But
There's a lot of
logic problems that just, if you
things
think
that
about it, it kind of it takes you out of the movie because it doesn't.
the
make
problems
sense.
are too easily solved, right?
Well, that's the problem with the whole Disney trilogy, I think, is that a lot of people just feel like none of the problems have any stakes and they all kind of just
really
solve themselves. There's no moment in the Disney trilogy that's like when Han gets frozen. There's nothing like that, you know? At least in the prequels, we have Anakin getting chopped in half. I honestly,
Han.
I have a bigger problem with the one before the Rise of Skywalker.
Last Jedi.
The Last
you
Jedi.
know I'm a Last Jedi
But I know that's a
stan.
conflicted opinion,
Yeah.
and I know that can get into a very long debate.
Yeah.
But honestly, the biggest problem Disney had with the Star Wars trilogy was that at least it didn't feel like it was planned out from the beginning, and you have two different directors trying to tell two different things. So if it was just one director going the whole way through, I think it probably would have been fine. But since Rian Johnson kind of changed everything, or maybe not changed everything JJ was setting up, but at least subverted a lot of it, then giving it back to JJ was probably the worst thing they could have done, because that man then did not know what to do with Rian Johnson's story.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Somehow Palpatine returned, and also Rey is somehow Palpatine's kid, which the genetics of
timeline-
that don't even...
Has anybody looked at, like, I'm sure there's like a
This
YouTube
movie-
video that delves into the timeline, because to me, in my brain, it makes no sense.
Yeah. And like, can I just say, the people that were defending Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi were all like, oh, it's a Star Wars movie, it's cool, shut up. Like,
That's literally me.
the whole, oh, you can light speed through a ship and blow it up in
Light
half.
speed skipping, yeah.
Like, I thought that was dumb, not because it didn't look cool or not because it hasn't been shown before, but because it felt like something someone somewhere has tried previously. If they have these giant spaceships, you feel like someone at some point was an idiot and did that before this moment in time. There's been thousands of years.
Falcon, though.
Not in the Millennium Falcon, but you got to remember, the prequels, which are generations old by this point, have had cities on multiple planets. So, I don't know, just these types of movies, they just take me out of the immersion to be like so full of themselves, like, oh, we're going to be different. Like, no one's ever thought to crash a ship into another ship going fast.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just kind of, I get it, don't think too hard about it, but like, I also appreciate, like, say if the original George Lucas trilogy had Leia alluding to the Force or having some powers in the Force, then it would make more sense that she pulled herself in when she was unconscious.
Yeah, we should probably
Move on.
But I did want to say, like,
I know, I could talk about how much I hate the Disney
uncomfortable with
trilogy.
the way that they used Carrie Fisher.
Oh, I think it's unforgivable.
But I don't know the logistics of it.
Well, her kid was in the
And,
film, so
yeah,
she
Billy
probably
Lloyd
got
is,
some
like,
money.
in the film, and like I don't know what behind the scenes happened, but it does make me like.
It just
slightly
felt like they
uncomfortable.
should have wrote around her dying in real life. If you're gonna use the excuse that Star Wars, the Force is supposed to just move the plot forward and be whatever, like, you don't take it so seriously, then don't take it so seriously that the plot can't change because of someone dying.
Yeah, but I do think
We do have to move on.
Adam
though.
Driver is really hot in this film. Moving on.
Yeah, but it's such a dumb film.
Okay, moving on.
It's such a dumb film. But
Oh,
I already
everybody-
mentioned it. Everybody
everyone
wants
saw him.
some.
We
It's
loved
a great
this
80s
film.
film. Animal House is a great, or Everybody Wants Some is a fun Animal House-like 80s party movie with a lot of heart and soul, and it very much has the School of Rock passion energy.
It's Richard Linklater, so if you like Dazed and Confused, you'll like this.
However,
We hate Blake Jenner.
Blake Jenner can go fuck himself.
We are not Blake Jenner stans, and
He's in the movie
honestly,
so much.
he is the main
He's
character
the
of the
main
movie, but he
character.
is not what I would consider like the real heart and soul of the movie.
No, the real heart and soul of the movie felt
What's his name?
like
What's his name? Oh,
Glenn
Glenn Powell. We love Glenn Powell.
carried the movie so hard.
Yeah.
Honestly, great job to that actor
Yeah,
for that
we love
film.
you, Glenn.
Up next is a classic that we watched, Bonnie and Clyde. Really not
I'm gonna
much
let
to
you
say
take the
about it
wheels
other
on
than
this
it's
one.
like, it feels like a nice classic American Western that takes place in the 30s as opposed to the 1800s. So if you like that American Western, Bonnie and Clyde, check it out. It's a really fun film. And the ending is just so abrupt that it really sticks with you. And I love that about it.
Yeah, it was good.
That's pretty much all you got to say. We watched the Mario Brothers movie.
Ooh, we did watch the Mario Brothers movie. I loved it. I had such a fun time at the movie theater seeing this. There's so many references and little jokes, and like if you've ever played a Mario game, you will like enjoy this film. Like
Yes.
it feels
It's fun
like,
for the whole family.
yeah.
Every generation
And
will have
there's-
something they can
yeah.
appreciate about it.
for sure. I could see kids loving this movie. I could also see like we're adults and we love this movie. I mean, you know, I just think it's a fun time.
Jack Black definitely carried the
and
movie.
I'll be honest, Chris Pratt was really not as bad as everybody thought.
Everyone thought Chris Pratt would do
Everybody
worse.
was clowning on him, and I was a little bit scared, but
He wasn't that bad.
it really didn't. faze
I thought
me.
Seth Rogen was far more obnoxious as Donkey Kong than
I
Chris
thought
Pratt.
Seth Rogen was fine because
There's
he
a
was
literal
just Seth
scene where he
Rogen.
looks into the camera and just does the Seth Rogen laugh.
That I appreciate that though, because it's like, you know, like if you're
know.
Seth Rogen, it's like, you know, you're Seth Rogen, like that's what you gotta do. I honestly just wish this movie came out before the Chip and Dale movie so that they could have Donkey Kong in that scene in the Chip and Dale movie where it's all the Seth, Rogen, characters. Every time Seth Rogen does an animated voice now, I'm like, damn.
I will say the script was also really, really
Funny,
well written.
yeah.
Having all the character like personifications of all
Yeah.
the Mario characters was great. There's maybe a few missed opportunities. Like there was no Wario.
There's definitely
There was no
Daisy.
No Daisy, and also there wasn't any Funky Kong. So if you're a Donkey Kong fan like me, prepare for a little disappointment there. The voice acting was great though. Other than my personal opinion, I thought Seth Rogen was a little bit
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen-y. Everyone else was fine, but especially Blackjack. He really makes Bowser the best
Blackjack.
character. I don't want to give anything away because I know this is a fairly new movie.
Yeah.
Illumination didn't drop the ball. I still hate that studio based on their previous films and their work ethic
love
of
the Minions.
I Secret Life of Pets and
That one was
Sing.
That one
and
was good.
Minions.
That one was good.
Ugh.
See, I don't know. Illumination, I feel like gets clowned on a lot because like the Minions, although the Minions have made their way fully around in the cultural.
My problem with the Minions and my problem with Illumination as a studio is their mentality is make films cheap to maximize profit because it's for kids, so they don't deserve / will notice the effort, which I hate.
This
I
movie
really hate
felt
that.
like it had a
This
lot of
movie
effort put into it.
clearly had Nintendo breathing down their neck. There's not a single fart joke.
Yeah.
So I think Nintendo should just make their own production company or animation studio.
At least a sequel to the Mario Brothers movie.
Well, that'd be great. Honestly, this whole film, I kept thinking the first time I watched it was, why did Nintendo make this? They can make it. They can print money with any video game, so why take the risk? And I'll tell you, this kind of reminds me of that time when Nintendo bought the rights to the Mario porno just to stop distribution because they didn't want anyone to see it. This feels like that, but with the search engine result of Super Mario movie.
I was like when Walt Disney froze his head.
What?
Like when they made Frozen, it's like
because you search Frozen Disney.
Frozen, it's like not so people don't Google his head being frozen. Is that what you're saying?
That's basically what I'm saying. So that way, when you Google Mario movie, you don't get the 1993 live action film. You get this.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
It honestly, it makes sense. I get why they've done
I
that.
just feel like when you look at them, it's like they translates so well to like an animated movie.
It does, and it also has a lot of similarities to the 1993
I also
film
will say
in a fun way, not in a cringy way.
the music, I wish they just stuck with Nintendo Mario music instead of adding in like random
licensed songs was weird.
I had fun with it in the theater because they used the most popular songs that have been in every movie ever. So like obviously it was fun, but like not necessary, and honestly didn't really make sense in
there was
the world
there was
of Mario.
a few that were like I could let slide. I'm spoiling one. Take on Me, I thought was fine.
That
I didn't
was
have any
fine.
problems with it. Like that one.
You didn't want it to be the remix of the Donkey Kong.
Oh, I'd much rather a remix of Donkey Kong music, but having heard it both times in the theater, because I saw this twice, it didn't bother me at any point, unlike things like I Need a Hero Or the most cringy one was Thunderstruck.
That one was a little bit like,
That
what
one
is
was
going
rough.
on? That one to me, like it has a different energy than the Mario Brothers movie. I don't know how to explain it, but like that really took me out of it. But it was so fun because that was the Mario karting.
Again,
right?
a lot of fun references, and it's not.
And
it doesn't
I just-
solely rely on reference.
I'm
appeal.
really
Has an original plot and decent.
Yeah, I'm just protective over I Need a Hero in the Shrek 2 universe. And I saw people online being like, this is better than the Shrek 2. And to them, I say, you're literally out of your mind.
I do think, I want to say, we've been
Better
praising
than
this a
the
lot.
Fairy Godmother from Shrek 2?
I don't think this film is as good as everyone online is saying. I get it. It's
You'll
a
have
fun
if you see it in the
very
movie
fun
theater.
movie. You'd have fun seeing it on a phone. You'd have fun watching this movie. But does that mean it's like objectively
great
better?
film.
Yeah. It's a fun movie.
In my list of animated films, I definitely would say it's up there in terms of like it was genuinely entertaining and funny, but
It doesn't. You're not gonna
it's
watch this
nothing
film
more
and
than that.
change
It's
you in
the
any
Mario
way.
movie.
It's
Yeah.
a Mario movie. You
You'll
get the
have
same
fun.
experience playing a game.
Yeah,
So
it's Mario.
It's
and
Mario.
Luigi. Charlie Day is Luigi.
again, loved most of the voice cast except for Seth Rogen.
Can you do the laugh?
He's putting me on the spot. I'll try it.
Okay. That was so good.
Thank you. Well, I had the pressure and the microphone in my face, so
Sorry.
it was either make or break. So I think that pretty much is going to conclude this episode.
I didn't watch any movies without you.
No, I
All
also
Easter
watched.
break.
I watched some movies without you,
We
and you
watched
watched
movies
some
without
each other.
but we can't talk about them on this podcast.
If you guys really want us to talk about our individual movie experiences,
Subscribe to our Patreon.
yeah, give like some comments for an extra like director's cut of the podcast, and we'll.
But that's been the last couple months of movies.
That's pretty much been the last couple months of movies in
the
terms
hits,
of highlights.
The highlights and the lowlights.
If you want to see the complete unfiltered list, you can follow our
including
Letterboxd.
things like Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yep, another film.
Other film.
Others too.
Others too.
But you can follow us on Letterboxd, which will be linked somewhere.
Boogie Nights.
Yeah, there's a bunch
And
of movies.
the other Boogie Nights with John Travolta.
Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah. Okay.
And so yeah, check out the links. We'll see you next time. And we'll do this more consistently now.
Yeah. We'll be seeing you next week.
Next week, can say that.
Woo.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Now get editing.
Go watch some movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Audience, go watch some movies. You get editing the podcast.
Okay.
All
Goodbye.
right. Adios.